Live from New Hampshire, Chris Matthews from MSNBC. Hey, Chris.
Good morning. I think it's still morning.
Yeah, I think we're 6 minutes past it. So,
okay, you're right. It's the afternoon.
So what's your sense of what's going on up there?
Well, why is my voice not, I'm not getting resonance here.
You sound fine here.
Do I? Okay,
Yeah.
good. I've got these earphones on that confuse me here.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's Trump, but the weather might affect it. And and I think it's Kasich is number 2. I think it's Sanders by a lot. It's going to be a bad show for Hillary.
Yeah, it seems that way. On the Republican side, Kasich is concerning me, speaking as a fellow Democrat, in that he comes across as being so, rational and reasonable. I'm concerned about a, kind of a Reagan thing where people think that he's the guy in the middle, when in fact many of his policies are quite radical. I mean, they're basically Republican policies. Your thoughts on the possibility of a Kasich-Rubio ticket, for example? I've been saying for a long time I think Rubio's running for vice president.
Well, I don't think he'd be good at any of those jobs based upon what we've seen. I'm very concerned about the Blade Runner problem, I'm calling it, and he may be a replicant. I really mean that. When a person repeats themselves verbatim 5 times in one sitting, you have to wonder what caused them to do that. It's certainly not a mental defect. Is it emotional? Is there something that in his being that forces him to repeat himself? It's almost insanity. Well, and you wonder about why you would do it. What would cause you to do that under any circumstance except short-term memory loss and forgetting you had just said it?
Well, another possible explanation, Rubio's gotten basically nothing done in the Senate. I think he's authored 2 bills that named buildings after Reagan. I mean, that's about it. And it could just be he completely lacks depth, that he doesn't have the governing experience.
Remember what makes Sammy run? The Bud Schulberg book? He said he's Sammy Glick. Yeah. It's just ambition, pure and simple. Yeah. There's nothing else there.
Yeah, I think.
And also an appeal to the neocons, to the big hawkish money out there. He will say Israel, irrespective of any topic. He'll just say Israel.
Yeah, which means Shelley Adelson's handing him cash.
Trying to get some money, and Brayman and all those guys that have one focus to their politics. And it's legitimate on their parts. For a presidential candidate, I think that's something you have to think about and worry about. I mean, I think Rubio and he and I don't know. I like Kasich. I guess I have a difference on you because I've known him for so many years as a member of the House Budget Committee and then chairman of the Budget Committee, and a guy that could go do an afternoon basketball game with Ron Delms and come back and kill the B-1 together or something like that because they realized it was gold plating. Right. So I have great belief in him. As a public figure.
So okay. Well, yeah. I was speaking of his policies. I know.
I mean, he's a. We'll see.
I look at the Republican platform, and it makes me shudder. You have been pretty outspoken in using the word socialism around Bernie. I'm curious.
Oh, it's his word, not mine.
I understand. Democratic socialism specifically.
No, socialism is what he's always believed in.
That's fine. I'm curious what specific socialist policies that he advocates that you oppose.
Let's run through. It's not about me opposing.
Or that you are concerned about.
It's not even concerned. They should be known by the voter. He said we will have government-paid tuition for major state and universities and colleges paid for by the government.
We had that when you and I were kids, Chris.
Listen, I don't want to argue.
Why not?
I'm just going to tell you because I'm going to tell you what else.
Okay.
Healthcare for life, government paid.
Right.
Huge new benefits in Social Security, government paid. If that's not socialism, I don't know what it is.
No, Social Security is definitely socialism. I don't.
We have nothing to argue about. It's socialism.
Yeah.
If that's what he wants to sell, we'll see if it works.
Well, it worked for FDR, didn't it?
FDR was very concerned about building Social Security as first of all, it did not come out of general revenue. Number 2, it was dedicated from payroll taxes so that people, when they retired, had basically paid into the system. It was a sense of self-reliance that he thought was very important. He also thought it was very important to not be means tested. So Roosevelt was very much he was a liberal. I don't think he was a socialist.
Interesting. So you don't think of Social Security as a socialist program?
No, it's a program, but it's not a whole socialist philosophy. Bernie is basically covers the waterfront in what he thinks the government should be doing.
Well, he doesn't think the government should be involved in the means of production and supply. I mean, it's not Marxism.
That hasn't come up yet.
Oh,
First of all, I don't know. I don't know him that well. I just know that every time I hear him talking, it's a government solution.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think that some of the things he's right about. First of all, there's no answer to Hillary Clinton on the what I call the $600,000 question. There is no way that can be answered adequately or sufficiently. There's no way to explain how somebody gives you $600,000 for 3 hours work, which is what it looks like. It's obviously a lifetime achievement that goes into those answers, but the speeches themselves are probably the same.
Yeah, most likely.
And I know how I used to give speeches for a living when I could do it. And I had a newspaper job. It didn't pay much, and I would do a lot of speeches. But first reason why it's a problem for her. No member of the United States Congress or Senate is allowed to give a speech for a nickel. Simple. Right. Number two, NBC, we're not allowed to give a speech for a nickel, even if that nickel goes to charity. Can't do it anymore.
Right.
So everybody knows there's a whiff of corruption in it. It may not be the case. I never got called by anybody I ever gave a speech to. I'd do a favor later for, or here's some literature we have, or here's an argument we have. It never happens because the people that hire you to speak at a convention are in charge of running the conventions. Well, they're not in government. No, they're not running government relations.
Yeah, but at a certain voter
out there, the average voter out there says, wait a minute, if somebody gives you that kind of money, they got you on the take.
Well, actually, the flip side argument, which arguably could be equally condemnatory or whatever the right word is that they pick you because they know that you're already aligned with their values.
No, that's not true because big corporations do regularly bring in liberals that they know will disagree with them. They bring in both sides for the purposes of a big convention. So
it's just the performance. It's just the show.
No, it's not. It's not that. It's that they want to hear what the argument is from the other side. They want to hear the other side's argument as part of their convention.
So you think so? Actual substantive arguments get made as opposed to you guys are wonderful and here we are and let's all feel good.
When I would in, I always said to people that say talk about this. I said, let me tell you this. All I can talk to you about is what I know, which is the political environment right now today, and I'll talk to you about that. And no matter what the speech group was, I said I'm giving the same speech.
Yeah.
I don't know about the medical field. I don't know about engineering or the intricacies of infrastructure, but I can tell you what I think the country wants right now, and there's certain things it seems to want. Right. Infrastructure, for example, some more clarity on healthcare, a little less complicated bureaucracy, a lot less.
Yeah. But
look, I think this race between Hillary is going to go on. I think Bernie is an excellent politician. I watched him the other morning. He's much better, by the way, in the room. He's a little too effusive on television. In the room, he's perfect.
Yeah.
He's logical. He's non-ideological. He ties together everything from Citizens United to the billionaires involved in politics to the failure of our financial systems to the big banks. It all fits into this unitary, which you usually have to be a little bit suspicious about anything that's so unified and unitary in its argument. Everything comes, like Jack Kemp was a wonderful guy, but everything came back to tax cuts.
Right. No,
juvenile delinquency. Juvenile delinquency, can get rid of it. We'll get rid of juvenile, we'll have tax cuts.
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with Bernie. He's been on the show for a full hour every Friday for 10 years.
Well, you know him.
Yeah, so it's...
Very good arguer.
He is... Chris Matthews.
No, he may win a few. He may win 5 or 6 primaries. In fact, he may win more. I'd say right now he'll win 5 or 6.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Minnesota, he'll win South Dakota, he'll win a lot of the caucus states. He may win all the caucus states.
We live in interesting times, my friend. Chris Matthews, Hardball_Chris, MSNBC.com/Hardball. Thank you, Chris. To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.